Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be presenting in South Australia today because, let's face it, South Australia is Australia's premier uranium jurisdiction. The only operating uranium mines are in South Australia, being Olympic Dam and the Heathgate operation with their Beverley and 4 Mile mine. And Honeymoon's destined to be the third in the state, and for that matter, Australia's first new operating mine in the past decade. When we set out with our strategic sort of horizons and our planning back in 2017, we looked at a number of factors. We wanted to become Australia's next uranium producer. We wanted to get a nameplate production of 2.5 million pounds per annum. We wanted to build our exploration focus to over 100 million pounds, which we've achieved, and build our own mineral resource up to 70 plus million pounds, which we've also achieved. So we set out with these goals, and then we looked at our strategic relations. We wanted to foster strong stakeholder relationships with the South Australian government. We've got wonderful support there. We looked at our clientele, our utilities, our fuel buyers around the world, and really set in stage Boss coming back into actual production and selling uranium around the world. We then looked at the foundation and development of the company. We went on an aggressive recruitment campaign, recruiting strong hydrogeologists and geologists within South Australia. Having Olympic Dam and Heathgate operating in the state, there's a wonderful talent pool of very qualified senior people who can operate uranium mines. We then looked at the self-performing aspects. So rather than going to an EPCM type model where one outsources the actual build and construction of the mine, we actually recruited our own personnel. We recruited our own engineers, our designers. We take care of our own contracting, our own management of the project. It saves on average 20% to a typical EPCM type model. We're also very successful in our capital raises. To date, we've raised $420 million in the last 7 years. But sitting on our balance sheet right now is a healthy $265 million. We've been clever with our funds. In actual fact, what that relates to is a capital outlay of $155 million. So $155 million capital outlay, we've built the market capitalisation of the company from $30 million in 2017 to where it sits today of $2 billion. So it's really one of being strategic, one of planning, campaign style, raising funds, executing those funds, building the resources, building the exploration, and being clever with acquisitions. We then look at organic growth, and that is through exploration. As mentioned, or what we hear a lot in the industry, not all pounds are created equal. There are lots of uranium companies around the world, but not many are actually going to go into production, as we saw in the last cycle, when there was about 200 to 300 ASX or internationally on indices, uranium companies, but only 4 or 5 actually went into production. So Honeymoon is a rare commodity in this cycle, and we've got that first mover advantage to take the prize when the price starts to rise. As mentioned, with the organic growth, we've got our own satellite deposits, Gould's Dam, which is 25 million pounds. We've got Jason's, which is 15 million pounds. We're looking to put mining licenses around those now so that we can incorporate them into our actual production plan. The mineral resource that it sits on, 36 million pounds, is what the current mine life is based on, which gives you 10 to 11 years. But by bringing these satellite deposits on, we're hoping to build our actual production profile. And with that, potentially grow it from a 2.5 million pound nameplate per annum up to the 3.3 million pound export permit from what the federal government's actually granted us. And then the last aspect and what we're really focused on is mergers and acquisitions. In December, we announced a 30% strategic stake in a South Texas mine called Alta Mesa. That's got a nameplate production of up to 1.5 million pounds with the potential going up to 2 million pounds. It's a proven project. And the reason why we looked at the US for this transaction is we're sticking with Tier 1 jurisdictions. The USA is the largest consumer of nuclear power, of uranium, and providing nuclear power in the world. It is the Western power that we want to focus on together with Canada and Australia. And with that, with all the gravitas that went with it, we're now in the ASX 200. We're recognised as a global player. We have the credibility. We've got the team. You've got a board and directorship that's actually built uranium mines before, operated uranium mines, and sold uranium around the world. So we're now open for business as we take this next stage and get Honeymoon into production. The four key industry considerations to take into account is that over the next 4 years, we see a really tight market across the demand-supply dynamics. And that's with or without Russian supply. There simply are not enough uranium producers there to meet the current demand. It's a structural deficit that needs to be filled. And hence why we believe in the next 2 to 3 years, you're really going to see a spike in the uranium price. And that's where BOS wants to be, ready to take advantage of that sort of spike in price. Taking supply out of Kazakhstan has become increasingly difficult, taking it through St. Petersburg and Russia with all the sanctions being applied. And right now in the US Congress, they're looking to impose sanctions to inhibit that further outflow of production. And as a result, Western fuel buyers are now looking to Western producers. Again, that stands in Australia's good stead. It's the term price, though, that we have to concentrate on. This week it jumped from 75 US per pound to 80 US per pound. It's significant. We're reaching 16-year highs. And we're also seeing this, to see new mines come into production, they actually need a price of around 85 US per pound. So a lot of development projects are out there saying they can come on, but they need that price to rise. So the price has to rise to incentivise the capital raising and debt financing to bring those projects on. As Cameco summed up in their fourth quarterly address recently, this is the highest uranium price going into a new bull cycle. It's a wonderful investment proposition and prices are set to rise further. I won't deliberate too long on spot and term prices, but certainly what we've seen over the more recent periods of the last 2 years is the term contracting increasing. Utility inventories are low. 2 years ago, there was purchasing of 160 million pounds compared to the previous year, of 124 million pounds. That term contracting is picking up. Utilities are now coming back to the market. And you're seeing now also the emergence of financial players getting into the industries, like the Spot Commodity Trust, which interestingly overnight started raising funds again as they're trading at a premium, which is driving the spot price higher. So just overnight, the spot price moved from 87 US per pound to 89 US per pound. It's that security of supply that the Western fuel buyers are looking for, and again, Australia's well posed and Honeymoon to feed into that market. Pictorially, it just shows here how vulnerable and open the captured fuel markets are. But we really haven't seen markets like this since the 1970s, where there's that geopolitical risk in the marketplace. There's almost like a bifurcated market. Fuel buyers are now very much looking towards stable Western supply. So when we then looked at doing M&A, we looked at Encore Energy with their prized asset, their flagship mine called Alta Mesa, based in South Texas. And you can see on this slide the operating experience that then garnered together. We have Wyatt Buck, the chair. This will be with Honeymoon, his fourth uranium mine to actually bring in through commissioning and into production. You've got Jan Honeyman, very skilled at HR, covering all the technical aspects and cultural growth that we want to include. Bryn, who's mentioned, and in the audience. We also have Sashi Davies. Sashi Davies is one of the top 5 uranium fuel traders in the world. She's been in the industry for over 35 years, who I've had the pleasure of working with for the past 15. On the Encore side, we have Dr. Dennis Stover, who actually looked over and presided over our 6-month field leach trial back in 2017. Very, very skilled operative in situ recovery form of mining. Bill Sharif, one of the entrepreneurial chaps in the North American markets. Paul Goringson, arguably one of the best uranium operators and in situ recovery operators in the North America. So it's really a synergy of bringing 2 strong parties together to create what we're accomplished to do, and with that worldwide experience, look to further grow the 2 operations. So strategic rationale are lots, but basically we're focused on Tier 1 jurisdictions. We're looking to increase our production profile, combining the 2.45 million pound per annum nameplate from Honeymoon, which is 2 weeks away from producing its first drum of uranium. You combine that then with the Alta Mesa project that nameplate is 1.5 million pounds. Our 30% stake will get 500,000 pounds annually for the next, what we believe, for 20 plus years. So it really are bringing those benefits and the synergies of combining top quality assets, Tier 1 production, going into a rising price market. There we can just see where the 2 plants are located. Yesterday we announced on Honeymoon, though, a real technical milestone. we saw the input of pregnant leach solution, uranium-rich solution, going into our ion exchange column and filling that ion exchange column with resin beads. It is one of the biggest technical tests, and now at commercial scale, that we undertook 7 years ago to move away from solvent extraction and go into ion exchange, which accounts for about 60% of the current worldwide production of uranium. Alta Mesa have recently announcing historic high-grade hits with their drilling and further exploration program. This mine has been in existence for some time. It was developed by Paul Goringson, who remains the CEO, and the opportunities and further expansion for exploration is fantastic. When we look at the two combined asset portfolios, I've mentioned the nameplate production, but when we look at the actual resource grade, Honeymoon has 72 million pounds compared to the 20 million pounds at Alta Mesa, which is set to grow. So you've got two growing assets, two top quality jurisdictions run by management who's actually been here before and ready to produce and bring it into our production into the market. Taking just a look at Honeymoon, just to sort of a quick update really on where we are and sort of pictorially walk you through some pictures. We are in situ recovery, exactly what Heathgate operation is doing, some 300 kilometres to our west. Heathgate are currently producing around 5 million pounds per annum. They're going at great speed of knots, which is fantastic to see. We're using exactly the same process. You're basically pumping down a lixiviant to leach the ore body through the basal sands, take it up to surface, pump it through to the front end of the plant, the ion exchange plant, for processing. This is a proven method of technology. It's about 2/3 the cost of what conventional mining is, far more ESG friendly, and certainly accounts for 60% of the world's supply. So when you look at Kazakhstan, the world's largest producer, Wyoming, South Texas, and South Australia, they use in situ recovery. And that's why we have that also first mover advantage. We are a low-cost operator. So with an all-in cost of around $32 per pound, you're looking at current prices today, spot price of $89 a pound, term price of 80 per pound. You know, the margins are there, very healthy, and the timing to bring this project on far exceeds our expectations when we started this project. Taking a quick look at the mine itself, we set out to change the water treatment plant such that we can produce a high quality RO water to put through our lixiviant, essentially removing the carbons, the salts, etc. We also wanted to increase the tenor of uranium getting leached from the well field, which we've also accomplished. So uranium-1, we're averaging around 53 milligram per litre. In our field leach trial, we're averaging between 80 to 100 milligram per litre. We then switched the solvent extraction for ion exchange, and I'll show you some pictures now. And then the drying circuit. No longer are we producing UO4, we're now looking to produce U3O8, which is what the world's conversion facilities are looking for. So pictorially, it's not normally this green. We're about 80 kilometres northwest of Broken Hill, but we had quite a bit of rainfall over the last 6 months. So yeah, I actually haven't seen it this green before, but that's what it looks like currently. But there you can see, so this is the barren leach solution, the pregnant leach solution ponds. They're filled, they've got the high-grade uranium, they've been pumped from the well fields, which have been operating for the last three and a half months. Those ponds are now feeding into the ion exchange column. You can sort of see that stacked behind where the crane sits. So that is functional, underway right now. When we did the hydro testing of the ion exchange column, and then yesterday we announced that the ion exchange column is commissioned, which is that huge technical milestone that we've achieved. So very, very exciting progress for us. We're now looking to grow those columns from the original one that's there. We've got the next 2 to be installed and then a further 3. So we'll be implementing 6 ion exchange columns over the life of mine strategically as we go through. There was just a picture of some of the reagents being delivered, the ferric in that circumstance, but it's just showing that all our long-term contracts with suppliers for the reagents are now in place. Deliveries are taking place. The various reagent tanks are being filled, ready for commercial production. And here's sodium carbonate commissioning. One of the things we did was self-perform. We really took on to account our own workforce, so we currently have 110 people on site, again, under our management and expertise. Ion exchange tank farm's complete. You've got the precipitation area that's been commissioned. You've also got the centrifuge and drying packing cables. Here it's been pulled and put together. The centrifuge now it was turned on yesterday, so it's now warming up to produce that high quality U3O8 what they call yellow cake, but it's just a picture to show the amount of effort that's gone in and the cabling and wiring that one needs to do to refurbish an existing mine. And then the ion exchange tank farm, electrical works, and sort of the instrumentation work that we do. And there's gypsum pond, which is an 80,000 cubic metre gypsum pond that was also installed for the first 5 years of production. So as you can see, we're go. And here's the Honeymoon Now exploration potential. So this is organic growth. This is the growth that we have with our satellite deposits, as mentioned. We've got Gould's Dam, 25 million pounds. You've got Jason's, which is 12 to 15 million pounds. We're looking to put mining licences around those now such that we can increase the production profile or actually life of mine. We also picked up from the South Australian Government, we won a tender process, we picked up another, I think about 3,000 square kilometres of tenements in the Murray River Basin to our south, some 120 kilometres to our south. In addition to that, which is recently picked up, we've picked up another 4 tenements around the area. So we are looking for regional growth and to build our organic opportunity. So while we build organically with our own exploration team, we're very much focused also on mergers and acquisitions, focused on the Tier 1 jurisdictions. But for the time being, and why I'm actually able to be at the conference, is heading up to site later tomorrow to actually see that first drum of uranium and again be South Australia's next uranium producer. Thank you.